So, Robert, you have a lot of experience meeting with boards, working with boards, Fortune 500 executive teams. Like, are you seeing a huge increase in the investment people are making in AI these days?
It's really incredible, Scott. The amount of sheer excitement I'm seeing about AI. And it's not just about the technology. It translates right to a business cycle. What I'm seeing from CEOs and boards is it's almost like this need to keep up. Like if you're not making those investments in AI, you're going to be left behind. And there's no enterprise out there, there's no business in any sector that wants to be left behind. And from a positive angle of it, people are realizing how much it can make your business more efficient and more competitive. So yeah, in the C-suite, that's what people are talking about. It's not so much they're talking about AI, it's what AI can do for them. The challenge is, you have all this sheer excitement. Let's get on AI. Let's jump on that train. I don't know if they're getting the tangible output yet or that real value. What are you seeing? I mean, I'm sure you're seeing a lot of uptick in projects, but how are enterprises starting with those projects typically?
Yeah, I think 2 years ago in particular, right when there was this huge boom, like we really started seeing that, right? Everyone wanted to do AI. They just said they wanted to do AI. They didn't even know what they really wanted to do. It was really chatbots and other things. And to your point, was that driving a lot of return on investment? Like maybe not in certain scenarios. But I think what we're seeing today, and you alluded to it, is like this incredible buy-in at the executive level or at the board level or both, which is great. Like every other technology initiative has been from the bottoms up. These are coming top down, which means they have this all-in mentality, which for us is exciting. Like we can come into these organizations and meet with the different stakeholders and the different groups and understand how do we actually transform the business in operations, in sales, in marketing, in delivery, whatever it might be. And being able to engage these organizations and having them actually drive tangible changes is incredible.
I really believe AI will be the greatest technological revolution of my lifetime. And I was there for the beginning of the internet. I actually sold the first commercial firewall in North America. So I've seen it, but I think we don't even understand how big an impact this will be. What I worry about when I speak to CEOs and boards is I worry about technology fatigue. People are so excited, if they don't start seeing the value, there's going to be a fatigue. There's going to be a budget fatigue, there's going to be a technology fatigue, and then people will say, am I really getting the return of it? What would your advice be to enterprises that have maybe excitedly gone down the road, but now they're kind of stuck? They're going back to the board and the board saying, hey, that money we spend, where is it? How should companies be thinking about that?
I think about these AI deployments in really two groups. There's the knowledge workers, so anybody who's primarily not technical, and then there's the technical workers, right? The technical workers are using things like Claude Code or Databricks Genie or any of these solutions. And really the technical teams, like they know generally how to use it, what to use it, and they're realizing that value in general better. As we think about the knowledge workers, like I think all of them are excited about how can AI, make me more efficient, or how can AI take away some of the mundane tasks of doing every day. But they're still struggling to understand how do you incorporate the technology. And to your point, how do we get a real ROI? And that doesn't mean that we need to get rid of 5 people on our team, right? That can mean we just made 20 people incredibly more efficient, and therefore they can focus on being much more strategic in their job than sitting around entering information into a system. So to me, it's all about how we can find opportunities for us to be able to really drive actual business change. Like how do we change someone or a group's day-to-day using AI? And my advice to them is you have to have people who have done this before, right? We have to be able to we take stories and understandings of what our team has seen at other organizations, be able to apply that to whatever organization will.
What you're really talking about is business transformation. I mean, that's what you're really saying, is you're giving people the opportunity to use this incredible technology to transform their business. And what I love about the Lovelytics approach is the industry expertise. Because to your point, yeah, the technical workers know how to use Claude and they're doing stuff with it. But to truly transform your business, you need a partner that actually understands the business, don't you think?
I agree. And So I think it's interesting. Like you need a lot of help getting things set up. You need somebody to come in who's done it before to brainstorm with how we can drive that ROI. And I put a huge emphasis with our team on actually quantifying that. Like if someone's investing $1 million or 5 million or 10 or whatever the number is, like how do we 5x or 10x that return with actual tangible outcomes? And so we make that a key part up front in all of our engagements to make sure that whatever customer we're working with, like they do understand there's going to be a return on investment. Because to your point, people are investing incredible amounts of money right now.
What's the best way to start? If I'm an enterprise, if I'm a CEO listening to this and thinking, gosh, those two guys make a lot of sense, what's the best way for me to start as an enterprise?
2 years ago, I would have told you, and I think many people would have told you, like, just start small. Pick one group, let's just do a small, 8-week project, and let's see what we can drum up. And I think as I've started to see now, hundreds of these type of projects that we've done over the years, really, it's now about just how do we go all in on this and how do we really make a decision? Let's set a huge North Star and let's talk about how we transform the entire organization. And that doesn't mean we need 50 projects going on at one time, but it does mean we need organizational buy-in. And why does that matter? We have to get the data ready. We have to get the data governed. And I think that's a big problem that we see across a lot of these organizations today is if your data is not accurate or you don't know how you exactly calculate revenue across the different organizations, as an example, like your AI is not going to spit out what you're looking for. So there's a lot of prep work. And to do that, you need whole organizational commitment to what you're driving here.
I think you're right. I think people don't realize the stopgap approach is more expensive down the road because you got to get the data ready and at the start and start over again. What are some of the big mistakes that you see that enterprises make once they do go down this road? And I'm sure there are projects you've worked on that they kind of get stuck and you're doing a great job and the company's doing a great job, but it's just not moving forward. Why does that happen? What's your advice?
Yeah, there has to be a plan at the end of these projects to say where most of these are getting stuck is the work gets done, the technical solution is built, we've defined everything that's needed, what's accurate, everything's done. It's the last 5% of how do we actually move this into production so that it can be trusted and also so that we know how much it costs, right? That's a critical part of this. Like in the end, if we have no idea how much this is going to cost for our entire team to use it, obviously it can have some major budget problems. But when I think about the production aspect of it, it's just about how do we test this? What is our testing plan? How do we know that what it's spitting out is real? The second we roll these out to the team and they aren't producing accurate results is the second people stop trusting them. It's very hard to get that back. So that last 5% of making sure that we can get this into production.
That's so interesting. Do you find that most enterprises have a challenge of really understanding where all their data is?
Yeah, I would say that's it. It's about, maybe it's not always about where it is, it's about how we access it, and then how do we actually bring it together so that it logically can talk to each other, right? If you have a sales system and a marketing system and a delivery system, for example, how do you bring all of those together so that you can understand, okay, we sold something here, we got that customer through X, Y, and Z marketing campaign, and we delivered a solution using X. Getting all of that tied together is really, really critical, and I think that's where a lot of organizations struggle. And when you don't do that, it leads to siloed applications or applications that only can see a part of the business.
Yeah. Do you find is that a truism that most projects starts with saving money or efficiency?
I'd say right now it's a lot on probably both, right? I think the efficiency is probably saving money, but most of it's driven by efficiency.
Yeah.
I would say. It seems like to me, there's a lot of mundane tasks that people are doing every single day. And that's where people are starting. Like, I'm uploading all of these PDFs every day into this, insurance claims portal, and then manually entering in Robert's information for the claim that he just made. It's absolutely a lot of opportunity for manual errors, just very time consuming. And so all of a sudden, if you can automate that, now we're seeing huge cost saving or huge time savings, but also cost savings, because now you're having that team focus on something that may be way more strategic or something that's actually driving business.
Do you think most companies are clear on how to measure that or that ROI?
A lot of people struggle, and I think this is where we actually come into play. Is like it is very hard to quantify and measure some of this, and for us, we've seen this over and over and over again at different organizations. And so the way that we upfront talk about how we measure this and then set up ways to do it is maybe the most important part of this, right? It's a huge expense that you're going to have to undertake to stay competitive in AI, and we want to make sure that we're there, making sure you're getting a huge ROI from that investment.
I think a lot of companies underestimate how important that is. There's a saying I love that if you want to go somewhere, go with somebody who's been there. And you're right. I don't think people know how to measure a lot of this stuff. And efficiency sounds great. To your point, people are entering all this stuff into a PDF and, oh my gosh, we're going to make all this better. But what's the actual ROI? How am I going to measure that? And I think that's so important to have a partner up front that can highlight these things. It's better to have that conversation right up front and a clear roadmap than afterwards. Because I think there's mixed emotion then and people get a little burnt out and so on. Do you have a scorecard or an outline that you work with people up front to kind of help them go down this road?
We do, and we really start every engagement with some form of a workshop, and obviously that's curated to each organization that we work with. But in general, a core part of this is understanding who are the core groups that we want to focus on early, because we can't just go and run wild across every part of the organization at once. Then working with them, it's all about how do we extrapolate this information out and use some of our proprietary ways of doing it to be able to measure and calculate everything that we're looking for. So
how important is it for the executive sponsor to be involved during the life of the project? In my background, one of the mistakes we made is we would go in, we'd sell or add value at the CISO level, and then he kind of let us run off into the wild, and then 6 months later come back and say, how's it going? We didn't do a good enough job of keeping them involved. For these AI projects, how important is it to keep that executive sponsor engaged?
Oh, it's extremely important. And as we talked about earlier, I think one of the huge benefits of these AI projects is they're coming down from the CEO, or they're coming down from the board. So what we've seen is people want to be involved in these. They're more involved in it, mostly because they're getting questions from the board or from a senior leader. So we haven't had huge problems with people not wanting to be involved, as we've seen in other types of engagements. But it's critical, right? I mean, those folks have to be able to see that we're driving the value quickly and that they're championing that for us internally, because we're going to have to do that across many different parts of the organization.
If you weren't the incredible founder of Lovelytics and the CEO, what advice would you give to a CEO of a large enterprise? What are the 3 or 4 most important things to look for in a partner to go down this AI journey?
I think historically, and just very generally speaking about data and AI consulting, I think historically having industry expertise was absolutely nice to have, and I think it helped build a great partner. But today, it's required. You have to be able, because these AI projects are all about intricate process automation. And if someone like us can come in and talk about, hey, we know exactly what this CPG company is doing, and we can bring value there, or an energy company, we know exactly about the different processes you're seeing. You have to have someone with actual industry expertise is one. 2, we talked about this idea of going somewhere with someone who's already done it. That's absolutely critical. There's a lot of hype around the AI world today, and every product, every services company has AI there. Having confidence that the firm you're hiring has done this before is incredibly important. You have to learn from their experience, because this technology hasn't been around that long. There's not that much talent that really can deploy it successfully. And so to me, those are the 2 most important things that stand out.
I think it's incredible. People don't realize that while AI is super hot, super important, it hasn't been around that long. I know the way we talk about it, it seems it's been here forever, but it's only been a few years. Interesting, when I was at RSA, which is the largest cybersecurity show, a guy came up to me and said, I'm really big in AI. And I said, really, what does that mean? And he took out a wooden A and a wooden I and said, I'm into AI. So there's this whole hype cycle, but when the hype cycle fades, it's the value that will last. And I think that's what enterprises need to focus on.
For CEOs, the real thing that they need to be doing is, one, you have to have a clear vision of what you're looking for. What is that North Star? Is it about efficiency? Is it about cost savings? Is it about anything else? We have to define those. And then it's about finding a partner that can do this, right? You have to find a partner who's done this before. You have to find a partner that understands your specific business transformation that you're looking to undergo. So that's, as Lovelytics, that's where we feel we come into play and can really help drive business transformations and outcomes for these organizations.
Scott, can you give me a specific example of where you've seen that business value in a specific industry?
give you a couple that excite me, and some really interesting work we've been doing. So we worked with a really large retailer, and they're really interested in understanding what products should be placed in what stores based on the historical performance of those, and how can we ship those to each of those stores accordingly. So we essentially utilized AI, used all of the historical data that they had about product performance, placement on shelves, store performance, and be able to give their head of merchandising a tool to understand and make those key decisions every day in near real time, to be able to understand where things need to go.
How did they do that before you did that?
You would think this is something that's,
I would think they would have access to that.
And they do, right? But a lot of these tools have been around for a long period of time. And so for them to make very specific decisions, I mean, there's thousands or, tens of thousands of SKUs. There's many, many stores. And so to be able to take all that information and be able to synthesize it into really making decisions, this is where these AI tools have been incredibly informative, in providing another level of decision making, and also recommendations, right? I think that's the part that's been missing.
That's incredible, because you're talking about speed to market, you're talking about efficiency, and you're talking about getting the right product for the right consumer, which of course results in more profit and more margin expansion for those customers.
You got it. And I think about another one we worked with, which was a large e-commerce retailer, and they had millions of SKUs. They had tons of different things they were using. And they had millions of SKUs, and those SKUs were essentially going up on their website. But to go on the website, they had to categorize them. They had to price them according to competitors. They had to write descriptions that were compliant with their business. They had to name the product. All of that took 90 days. So nowadays, you're all of a sudden able to, one, use generative AI to write those descriptions that we know are compliant, even if they still require a little bit of a human in the loop to look at that. It can decrease that amount of time from 90 days to get a product on the website, maybe down to 60 or 30 or even less. And you think about that's another month or two of sales at an organization that has millions of SKUs. That's an unbelievable uplift in revenue.
In this day and age, speed is king. On Shark Tank, we have a saying that there's really two types of companies, the quick and the dead. And so if AI can help you be the quick, go for it. So Scott, I'm ready to go. I have this project. I found a great partner. What's the first thing I need to do? And what does the first 90 days look like?
Yeah, the first thing to me is we have to sit down with the business, right? As we talked about measuring outcomes, we have to understand what are those key areas we want to focus on, and where are we going to go really deep to sort of initially start this engagement. So there's that part of just the planning aspect, and that doesn't need to be months and months of meetings, right? This can be a weeks, not months type initiative. The second part of this is maybe the most important, is as we eventually get to rolling out these tools, we have to trust the data, and we have to have that data available. There's a lot of data foundation and just data governance work that needs to happen to make sure that these tools are being rolled out in the proper way and that they can be trusted and utilized. And so both of those really go in tandem, and just making sure that you have a solid data foundation that's governed and trusted before we start rolling out different AI applications, either internally or to your customer. So today we're seeing a tremendous amount of outcomes that are coming out of these AI engagements, and real business value and outcomes that are coming out of the work that we're doing.
I can imagine, because I'm seeing it too, and I'm seeing it at the CEO level, and I'm seeing it at the board level. One of the things that really attracted me to your company is you're doing real tangible work that has a real return of investment. What I always worry about technology cycles is the hype cycle eventually ends. And when it ends, you need a return on investment. What I love about the work that you guys have been doing for 9 years is you're providing real, tangible value and ROI to these companies. As an investor, I think that has a very long tail, very attractive to me.
We appreciate it.